What's up, guys? My name is Tactical Tiger, back with another video, how to play chess on Passant and Castling. Okay, so in the last video, we looked at kings and pawns and the way that they move. But in this video, we're going to be looking at kings and pawns and their special moves. So now the first special move we're going to look at is en passant, which means in passing. So let me set up an example for you. So let's say white goes here, black goes here, white goes here. If it's black to move here, black has two options. They can go one square or two squares. Now, you see if you go one square, I can take you, right? But if you go two squares, it doesn't look like I can take you. That's where en passant comes in. I can take you because you were trying to avoid the capture of my pawn. And that works for the pawn that's anywhere on this fifth rank. If you have a pawn on any of these squares that are next to where the pawn is, you go here, you can be taken en passant. Here, en passant. And it works the same for white. En passant. Here. En passant. Okay? So the way that it works is you just pretend the pawn is on the square before it, and the pawn must be on an opposing pawn's opening square. This square, you can capture diagonally like it was on that previous square. So even if you go here, I can still take you. Now, en passant is very situational, and that if I don't see this move and I go to play here, my opponent plays here, I can't take. It's only once. I don't know why it keeps doing that. Oh my gosh. It's only once that the black pawn or the white pawn puts me in the situation where I can do that I can act on it. But if I forget about it and I play something else like this here and go to take, it doesn't work. Okay? So that's en passant. Now, let's look at castling. Now, castling. King moves two squares, rook moves next to king. So the way that castling works is in chess, you're trying to preserve the king, trying to give it better safety, better protection, right? So you want to move the king away from the center squares of the board. You're trying to get him away from there. So one way you can do it is by castling. So you can castle king side and queen side. In order to castle king side, you move your king two squares and you put your rook next to it. Okay? And the same for black, king two squares, rook next to it. Now, if I wanted to castle queen side, where my queen would normally be, or where black's queen would normally be, two squares, rook next to it. It goes the same for black. Two squares, rook next to it. Now, there are a couple times where you can't actually castle. If this is the position, and I go from here to here and check the black king, you cannot castle when you're in check. You need to either run away from the check, take away the person who's checking you, or protect yourself by putting another piece. But as in this example, black would have to move. Now you can't capture. Now you can't castle. Now, if the bishop is over here, a square into which I would castle into, you still can't castle. If I would castle into check and be still in check, you can't castle. Okay? And it goes the same for this side. If I cover this square, now I'm castling into. I'm castling into check. Now if the bishop is on this square and it covers this square, you can still castle. Because I'm not going to be in check. I'd only go through these squares, not that square. Okay? And the last way that you can't castle is if you move the rook. So if I move my rook like this, and then this, I can't castle. Because I already moved my rook. And it goes the same for black. If I move my rook here, and then go to castle, doesn't work. Now your king can only move one square. Now if I move my king away from its normal starting position, move here, and go to try and castle, doesn't work. King can only do it if it hasn't been touched and there's no pieces in between. Both pieces have to be in the same starting position. No one's checking me. Okay, perfect. I can castle. But only in that situation. So that's why it's very important in the beginning of the game. You want to protect your king and try and get it to a good point to castle. So that's en passant and castling.